Let's talk about growing out your hair with the help of great lengths hair extensions. Now, this guest came to me wanting to convert away from wearing wefted hair extensions. So we switched her into great lengths. This was her before, and this is her after. What we really wanted to focus on with her application was filling out all of her ends here to make them nice and thick for her, which we did right over here, as you can see. Okay, so I just want to point out a couple of the differences between these two photos. So this photo was actually taken after we trimmed her hair, and this was taken before we trimmed her hair. And this was her hair fresh out of wefted hair extensions. And honestly, like this to me, at first, you think that's breakage, right? It's not breakage. It's actually just hair that's been over texturized. It's honestly just something that is easy to do if you aren't experienced in cutting more than just the hair extensions. A lot of people forget that your natural hair is still living inside of your hair extensions. So if you look at these like side by side, I did my best to like line up the shoulders in this picture so you could see how actually long her hair is. But some of this hair, believe it or not, is like a good 3-ish inches longer than the longest points of her hair on this side here. So what that tells me is that her hair is fully capable of growing. It's not that it won't grow. It's just that unfortunately her hair was just over texturized, and we're going to use a different method of hair extensions to help her grow it out. Now that we have a pretty good baseline for actually knowing that this client's hair will grow out, what does that actually look like? There's a couple of things that we often forget that I want to talk about. So I want you to look at her hair right here in her before photo. As you can see, her ends are not bad at all, but definitely sparse. And this is where the longest points of her hair are currently. Now, you can see where her hair starts to get thicker, like all of this. That is where her actual weight line is going to be. Now, I'm not the person that, like, I guess we could have cut an inch or two more than we did, but the goal here is to retain her length. So if there's no reason to get rid of it right now, then we'll do that later. But something that can be a little deceiving when it comes to having your ends be a little bit sparse like this is that these ends will still be here when her extensions come out. So it can be really easy to have your extensions out and your ends feel like kind of like nothing and be like, oh my God, where did my density go? It just needs a little trim, especially when we're regrowing hair. It's really easy to forget what it looks like underneath when our natural hair hasn't like seen the light of day in like 4 months. So that is part of the process and part of the journey that can be a little nerve-wracking, especially if you've never worn extensions or have never experienced a long-term growth plan for your hair. And honestly, even after her first set of extensions, she'll definitely have a good couple more inches of retained growth just because of the way that her natural hair is. Now, some people's hair grows faster, some goes slower. So it depends on like where you're actually wanting your density to hit before you can actually really see and feel the difference of what it means for your hair to actually grow out. Okay, so what to when we're regrowing hair is that no two heads of hair are the same, no two needs are the same, and everyone's timeline is going to look different. Sometimes it could take years to grow hair back out from a compromised state. In this particular instance, I don't think we're looking at years to get her where she wants to be, but every person is going to be different. And it's hard to manage those expectations over time when you feel like the process is slow or your progress is slow. That can be really defeating. So it's something that I always keep in mind as we are continuing to work together towards your ultimate end goal, getting your hair to a place where you feel good about it. A lot of the time, it can be a really long road. I'm not even going to lie. There's so many different factors that can be at play when it comes to each person's needs. So if you're trying to regrow your hair or grow out your hair and are considering using hair extensions, it's honestly the waiting game. And it can take a good amount of time to see the real progress that you're looking to see in your hair. That's one reason why we take pictures, and that's one reason why we have a consultation. When it comes to like the long-term plan for your hair and what that's going to look like for you, that's something we definitely talk about when we first meet. And that just helps to give you an insight of what your next like several months of hair might look like, or what kind of investment that could be, and what kind of home care or maintenance and all those other things that go into wearing hair extensions. Like we really look at the whole picture picture of where we're starting and where you want to go and what the middle is going to look like. So that's another reason why the consultation is so important. It's the time where we can sit together and look at your hair and set expectations and decide what we can do and what our middle is going to look like. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm an open book. But I say all of this just because it can sound easy to grow your hair out with extensions, and sometimes it is, and a lot of the times it isn't. With all of the things that go into hair extensions, we just have to keep in mind a lot of it is just trusting the process. Now, another thing that we love about switching her into great lengths is that she does not have to come into the salon for maintenance appointments any longer. There's no maintenance, so she won't have to come to the salon to see me for, like, honestly, a good 4 or 5 months. She'll be able to wear them up, down, whichever way, because the bonds move 360. This is her, like, natural hair colors. It automatically kind of creates like a full head of dimension for her. And did I say no maintenance? Like, all she'll have to do to take care of her hair at home is just brushing her hair extensions. And that's personally my favorite thing about wearing great lengths, is that there is no frequent salon appointments. So if you're thinking about making the switch, my DMs are always open. Book a consultation. Okay, so I actually ended up seeing this guest this evening for her follow-up appointment. So I wanted to show you what the results of her hair look like after her visit. And this was the final result. We have her before and her after. Basically, the only difference between this after photo and the other after photo was that your hair totally changes after it's washed for the first time. So what I like to do is bring my guest back in and we do a nice blowout and adjust any shaping as needed, which is exactly what we did for this guest tonight. And here's another view. She is obsessed.